What are the recent developments on FPIES?
There were two large studies published in the past year. Both studies come from the US and they describe large population of patients, and they increase our understanding of what are the foods that are causing FPIES, as well as the natural history, how quickly this condition is being outgrown. There's also a large epidemiologic study from Israel that have, for the first time, defined the prevalence of FPIES in the general population. And what was interesting about that study was that FPIES accounted for more than 1/3 of all milk allergies in infants under one age of a year, so suggesting that it's a more common condition than previously appreciated.
How will these new findings affect patients in the future?
Well, FPIES is a relatively new disease. It has been thought to be a very rare disease, but we are thinking or becoming to appreciate that it's more common than previously thought. And having a better understanding of the triggers as well as the course of the disease will, first of all, help educate the medical providers, physicians, the allergists, as well as gastroenterologists and other specialties, and pediatricians in particular, to make a correct diagnosis. Diagnosis of FPIES is usually quite delayed. Children have to go through several quite severe reactions before this diagnosis is entertained. And we know that some of the reasons why this is happening is because of the lack of classic allergic symptoms in FPIES reactions. So there's never skin symptoms or respiratory symptoms, but there could be very severe vomiting, lethargy, pallor, and sort of septic appearance, which leads away from the allergic diagnosis. So knowing this and definitely increasing the awareness among the physicians will help the patients to receive the care, to receive the proper diagnosis and then management. Also, this is really the first step to look into the pathophysiology and to designing better biomarkers, diagnostic tests, as well as potential treatments.
What is the take-home message for allergists and primary care physicians?
The take-home message is that FPIES, considered to be a rare disease of childhood, is not so rare. Although I cannot tell you exactly how common it is, the general impression among allergists or people taking care of this condition is that it's becoming more common in sort of trending other food allergy forms. You have to be familiar with the manifestations. You have to recognize the symptom pattern. So in acute FPIES, the symptoms start within 1 to 3 hours following food ingestion, and the classic manifestation is profuse repetitive vomiting, up to 20, 30 times, up to retching and bringing up bile, as well as this profound change in general activity with lethargy that sort of starts together with the vomiting, as well as pallor and ashen appearance. This can be followed later within 6 to 8 hours by diarrhea, but it's not as constant feature as vomiting. And you have to think of it because most of the time when patients are evaluated for the first time, that food allergy is not included high in the differential, and this leads to mismanagement and delayed diagnosis.
Where is the research in FPIES heading in the future?
Well, we have to. FPIES research is really in its infancy, and we have big strides ahead of us to really understand the pathophysiology. Without the understanding of the pathophysiology of this condition, there will be no development of new biomarkers, there will be no treatment. So currently we rely on oral food challenges to make the diagnosis, and we just follow children. We tell them to avoid the food, but really we have no active or proactive approach to managing. Unfortunately, the natural history of this disorder is favorable. The children outgrow it like other forms of food allergy, but we also understand that children, especially those who develop IgE to the FPIES food, may have more persistent disease. So we now follow children, or actually adults, who developed FPIES as young infants, and they're still having reactions to milk in particular. So really defining better what's the underlying mechanism will help us to design better diagnosis and management.